What's going on, guys? AngryFury here, and welcome to my Skeletal Wyvern guide. So to get started, I'm going to go over the recommended stats. First of all, you have to have a level of 72 Slayer in order to actually kill Skeletal Wyverns. I recommend that you have at least 80 Magic and 80 Defense. Now, you don't have to have this. You can have a little bit lower, like around 70. It's not going to make a huge difference. The biggest thing to remember is that they have a very high defense, and the range attack can hit pretty good, so a higher defense is going to help. A 91 level of Herblore would help you out, and that's just because you can make extreme magic potions. However, you don't have to have this because you can always just use super magic potions. And of course, an even higher level for overloads would be a distinct advantage, but I know not a lot of people have that. And then of course 95 prayer, which again a lot of people aren't going to have this, and that's fine. That's just so you can use soul split and torment. However, if you do not have 95 prayer, you can always just pray protection from range or deflect from range, and then just use an aura like vampirism. You kind of get almost the same effect. So either way, it'll work out for you. Alright, just some information on Skeletal Wyverns. They have a combat level of 156, and again, they do require 72 Slayer in order to kill. If you're getting this as a Slayer assignment from Cyrodiil, she will usually give you around 40 to 90 per task, and per task you'll be able to get around 21,000 to 48,000 Slayer experience, and about 40 to 90k experience to your combat skill, whether that be attack, strength, magic, range, what have you, and that is not counting your constitution or hit points experience. And they can be found in the Asgardian Ice Cave. Some things to keep in mind: they do attack with both melee and range. Now primarily for what we're going to be doing, you're going to be getting hit with range only, so that's primarily what we're going to be getting hit with. So if you are going to use a protection prayer, you will definitely want to use a range protection prayer. And they also have a very damaging icy breath attack. It's important to note that this is probably the one thing that you have to pay attention out of everything else in this guide. It's just understanding that this attack can jack you up. So not only will it freeze you in place, but it will do massive damage, and you can use freedom to break free. However, a while back I know there was somewhat of a glitch where it was not actually breaking you free of the attack. So if you do mess up, keep in mind that you'll get frozen in place while you're trying to get away, and you're still going to be taking a pretty good amount of damage. So just keep that in mind. Skeletal Wyverns are weak to fire spells, so for our setup, just so you know, we will be using fire spells. And another couple important things is, if you are not using this method exactly how I'm doing it, and you plan on bringing a shield, you can use a Dragonfire shield. However, a regular, just anti-fire shield is not going to work. And if you don't have a Dragonfire shield, then an elemental type shield of any kind is going to work. And also, anti-fire potions and super anti-fire potions will not work on the Skeletal Wyverns. So we'll go ahead and go over the inventory setup really quick. Sorry about that. Basically, if you have a Charming Imp, I put this on all my videos, but bring the Charming Imp if you have it. That way it's one less thing you have to worry about picking up. Bring a pack yak and scrolls so that you can go ahead and bank your items, as well as a war tortoise, or a war tortoise if you don't have a pack yak. And depending on your level, I would say bring some food in your yak or tortoise. And if this is your first time fighting them, then I just highly recommend you bring food, because that way if you mess up or make a mistake, you're not gonna die. Okay. For potions, I recommend you bring 2 overloads. If you don't have overloads, then go ahead and bring 2 extreme magic flasks or super magic flasks. If you are not bringing overloads, then I recommend you bring extreme defense flasks or super defense flasks. And then around 4 to 6 prayer flasks, depending on what aura you're using, if you are using an aura. And then a couple of prayer renewal flasks. The applicable runes for the spells you're going to cast, so whether that be the air and fire runes or blood and fire runes. And then food is optional, but like I said, I recommend you bring it if you have not fought Skeletal Wyverns before or are a lower level. As far as your gear, I'm pretty much just going to show you my setup. Keep in mind that this can be upgraded or downgraded as you see fit, so you don't have to have exactly what I have. But for the helm, I usually wear a Slayer helm, and that is if I'm on assignment. However, if I'm just killing these guys just for XP or for drops, then a Ganodermic visor is what I'll wear. And then for the skill cape, I don't know, it's just what I like to use. I mean, you can use other stuff, and if you have the stuff from like the Fight Kiln or Fire Cape or something like that, of course you can wear that. the necklace, Amulet of Fury, of course, you can substitute that with like an Amulet of Glory. And then basically I'm wearing full Ganodermic, so that's the poncho, the legs, the boots and gloves. And then I'm using a wand and orb setup. When the ones I'm using are Abyssal Wand and Orb. However, if you don't have that, you can use like a Rim's Wand and like a Grifolic Orb, something like that, or a Master Wand. And if that doesn't work, then of course you have the Armadillo Battle Staff or a Staff of Light. Any of those will work. And then I'll usually use a Seer's Ring. If you don't have that, then you can bring like a Ring of Wealth. And then as far as an aura, if you do not have Soul Split, I recommend that you use Vampirism just to help give you that extra health as you're dealing out damage. Or Aegis, as that will... I mean, the Aegis is really good. It only lasts for 30 minutes, so keep in mind, but it will help prevent a lot of damage that you take. Or Penance, and if you are bringing Penance, then you probably won't need to bring as many prayer potions. And I like to just put something in the pocket slot just because, you know, you never know if you're going to die. Maybe something happens, you lag out or whatever. So I like to bring the Sign of Item Protection. And this, of course, depends on your divination level. And what the Sign of Item Protection does is you equip it, and if you die, you will keep an additional item on death. So just keep that in mind. And then as far as drops, they're really good Crimson Charm droppers, and when they do drop Crimsons, which is like 60% of the time, 55-60% of the time, they'll drop 2 of them at a time. Of course, you have Wyvern Bones. The Granite Legs they drop, I think they're like 30 to 90k, somewhere around there. Draconic Visage, which is still worth over 1 million. Effigies, of course, and as well as a few other things. And if you kill these guys straight for an hour, you can make around 450k plus an hour, just depending on how fast you were killing them. Alright guys, now that we went ahead and went over all the basic information we need, it's time to actually go down and start fighting them. So really quick, I'm going to show you exactly where the skeletal wyverns are located. And basically what you're going to want to do is, if I can find this for you right here, this little, you won't really see the cave on here for some reason, but there's actually a little cave entrance right here, and that's where you want to go. The best option is to take the fairy ring, which will lead you right here, or you can take the Port Sarim lodestone and just run straight south. So it's real easy to get to. What I usually do is just take the fairy ring, because why not, you know what I mean? It's pretty fast. And if you're going to take the fairy ring and you have never been there before, it's going to be the one that says Mudskipper Point. It's AIQ if you have never entered it into your little control panel thing here. And we'll go ahead and head down there. Now, I know in the inventory setup, I kind of just briefly touched on it as far as bringing food. I usually don't bring very much food, to be honest. I mean, I hardly ever use it, but it is smart to go ahead and bring a little bit just in case you actually take some damage. I mean, if you make a mistake, or especially if you're a lower level, it's always good to have some. So I usually put a little bit in my pack yak just in case, because if you're down here and you take some damage, it kind of sucks to have to go all the way back to the bank just because, you know what I mean. So anyway, other than that, I touched on it a little bit in the little previous section before this, but I recommend having at least 95 prayer. I know that's an extremely high requirement. However, that's just so you have the ability to use Soul Split and Torment. Of course, not everyone's going to have that, and I totally get it. So you could definitely do protection from range or deflect range, and you can use the Aura Vampirism. I find that that also works really well. So now that we're here, we're about to enter. You're going to click on this, and it's going to basically say, ooh, watch out, dangerous creatures, whatever. Go ahead and click option 1, obviously. Yes, I'm not afraid, and it'll put you inside here. So the first thing to remember before we start fighting these is if you are in here and you're not using this method I'm about to show you, alright, if you try to melee these guys, anything else, if you do not have a Dragonfire shield, not an anti-fire shield, but a Dragonfire shield, at least, or an elemental shield, you are going to take some serious damage, if not be killed before you even know what happens, okay? So, what we're going to go ahead and do, first thing obviously is pot up if you don't have overloads, and of course use whatever potions you brought. I like to just, you know, use whatever I can that's the highest, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so, here's the thing. They have this special ability which is called Icy Breath. Okay, think of it almost as like just regular Dragonfire, except for it's like 10 times worse. Because what it actually does is it hits you and freezes your guy in place, and it deals like massive ice damage. Okay, so to prevent that, I've actually kind of, I don't know if I accidentally figured this out or what, but basically they can only hit so far. Like they have a limited range on this ability. So what you want to do is you want to stand further back, a pretty good distance back, maybe about here, okay, and then click on him from a distance, okay. And what's going to happen is your guy is going to run and attack and stay as far away as he possibly can. And if you stand here, you'll notice I will not take any of that ice damage because the range for his attack, it won't reach me, if that makes any sense, okay? So to do that, you have to stand far out and then attack, and your guy will run up, and the second our guy is in range to attack with Mage, boom, it's out of range for his attack. So you want to stay at the maximum distance away you can while ranging, okay? It seems really simple, and it honestly is. It's just you have to keep that in mind the whole time. And you also have to make sure that you're paying attention, because sometimes you might click on a guy over here and your guy runs around and somehow gets too close. If that happens, you need to instantly back up and get away. So as far as maging these guys, you know, they're really not all that hard. You just want to make sure you're using your thresholds appropriately, such as Asphyxiate. I love using that one, as well as Wild Magic. They're both very good. Keep in mind they are weak to fire spells, so hopefully you brought appropriate runes for a fire spell. But essentially, if you come down here and are maging these guys and you're using this method, it doesn't really matter what gear you're using so much, because they're going to hit you no matter what. It really doesn't matter what gear, okay? And as far as what staff or wand to use, I mean, I would say recommend anyway using the best one that you can use. However, you don't have to use exactly what I'm using. There's plenty of different options out there. Let's see, there's a few other things I did want to tell you that I probably didn't touch on a second ago, and that is a lot of people think that you can use different types of armor to combat the icy breath, like, you know what I mean, like if you actually were to get hit with it, maybe you're doing some sort of melee on these guys, whatever. Well, the actual fact of the matter is hold on one sec, you know, sometimes you don't pay attention, as you can see. That was me not paying attention. That's okay, whatever. But the thing is, okay, just see right there, that's a screw up, big time. For some reason, I don't know what my guy is doing. I need to take off this auto retaliate. So, I'm actually glad that it showed you there. That only happens to me like seriously once in a great while. But if you are using ancient magics, you have to keep in mind that you're going to be hitting multiple targets once in a while. And you want to watch out. I'm seriously glad that happens, so you can see. And you can start getting hit by a few of them, and if they get in range and start hitting you, you're going to start losing hit points pretty quick. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I like to stay right up in this area and just go back and forth between these two. Alright, last thing I wanted to say really quick though before I let you guys start going out there and owning these guys is their icy breath will hit through any armor. It doesn't matter what armor you're wearing. It makes no difference at all. So make sure you keep that in mind while fighting these guys, because just because you come down here and you want to use melee, let's say, and you bring Torber or something like that, it doesn't make a difference. Their attack will hit through any type of armor. Okay, so anyway, I hope this helps. What I'm going to do is I'll leave a little video here of me getting a few kills just so you guys can use it as reference or whatnot. But other than that, thanks for watching, guys.